Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marques show. My name is Marques Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Darien Cruz. Hey, you know what? Let's bring him on down. How you doing today, Darien?
Doing well, man. How about yourself? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. Nice to see you as well. Darien, we got connected by one of my great friends, Mr. Brian Morris. You're here in the Raleigh-Durham area. You know my ex-father-in-law. You've been in the business.
Yes.
So excited to have you here today. But first question, Darien, what does the word authentic/authenticity mean to you?
All right, let's start out deep. I like it. Yeah, for me, authenticity, it's really intertwined with integrity. So when I think about being authentic, it's being, very true to what I represent myself as being. Particularly in the industry that I'm in real estate, a lot of us are building a brand, building an identity, and that's what we're putting out there. But trying to make sure there's no gap between that identity that I'm building and what I'm trying to project and actually, the man I'm trying to be, the person I am in private, with family and with friends. When I can have that be as close as possible, then I feel pretty good about it. And to me, that's integrity, really backing up what you say, and treating others well, putting others' interest first and standing by the principles that you say you're living according to. So for me, that's authenticity. That's what I'm trying to do.
You know what, Darien? I like how you said living and being true to yourself, but also being kind to others and wanting to help others. And I think that's something that a lot of people need to really put at the top of their list, because I feel if more people were like that, the way you are, going out of your way, I believe kindness is treating everybody, but especially those that can do nothing for you, with compassion, respect, and helping them and being inspirational to them, breathing life and or hope into them that they could be great. Before we get into your awesome story and the work you're doing right now in real estate, you mentioned the word integrity. And, Alexander the Great was coached by Aristotle, right? So King Philip II, who's Alexander's father, hired Aristotle to teach and coach Alexander to have him become not just a military tactician, but a well-rounded individual. And the first of the 5 rules that Aristotle taught to Alexander was character or integrity. He talked about how if Alexander's men ever thought he was doing something for himself and not for the good of Greece, when things got hard, which we all know it does in battle, they would turn and run for the hills. So my question for you is, right, Darien, how do you showcase to people, especially your clients and your prospective clients, that integrity is one of your key attributes that you live by?
Yeah, for me, one of the main things I do when I'm dealing with clients or dealing with partners that I'm working with is to really rely on honesty. Now you can deliver honesty in a lot of different types of packages, right? It can be brutal, it can be harsh, or you can season it with salt a little bit, as they say, or try to serve it in a way that's a little bit more palatable. But in the end, you don't want to hide or run from the truth. When we're dealing with a situation, and sometimes, or most of the time, my clients, when they're purchasing a property, this is the largest purchase that they're making in their life. It's the biggest financial commitment that they might make their entire life. So there's a lot invested in this decision. And I owe it to them to present them with the truth and hard truth of the situation that we're looking at. And maybe it may not be exactly what they wanted to hear, but it allows them to make a more informed decision. And I know I've done right by them. In the end, I know that I can sleep at night. I didn't put someone in a position that I have to feel guilty about later. And doing that, there have been situations where a client actually had to back out of it. It wasn't the right move for them. And having dealt with them honestly and helping them, guide them along the way, that relationship remains strong. I know that in the future, they'll trust me. We can work together again if we need to go through another transaction. They refer other clients to me as well, because they know that that's what I'm bringing to the table.
Darien, love that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got from that last segment this main takeaway, that Darien told a client that this was not going to be a sound financial move for you, and they had to back out. And that right there is the pinnacle of integrity. Being so honest with people that it takes money out of your own pocket. Darien could have got a commission if they move forward, but he knew moving forward was going to hurt them financially. And he said, you know what? No, I don't want the commission because I don't want you to be stressed out. And I love what he also said. He can do business and no, he doesn't have to feel guilty about it either. And that's huge. And again, ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what he also said at that last part of the segment? He said that client that he told to not move forward now refers him clients. It's so much easier, right, Darren, to get referral business than new business if you do it correctly. So love this. All this is just great for our audience, and I really hope they take away some great sound bites from that last segment, this whole interview in general. So Darren, now tell us your story and then how did you get into real estate and then where are you currently now in your business?
Great, yeah. So my background, it's pretty interesting how I ended up landing in real estate, but started off when I was really young. I started working really young, always kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit a little bit. I remember when I was, I think 12 or 13, I had a business going around striping parking lots. That was my first business. After that, I worked for a few years in hotels. I was a sales coordinator and for a few properties as well as a convention center. Enjoyed that, and then sort of landed in what was more or less a family business. At the time, we had no ownership in the company, but it's where my mother worked. She was a nurse. So my mother was a nurse, ended up working with a company that did in-home care. They kind of knew my background, my sort of sales background, and they wanted a little help on the business side and marketing side of things. And I ended up coming in, working with that company. And then eventually, one of the owners moved away. They were awesome people to work with, honestly. It was a really great experience for me. And shockingly trusted me enough to put me in charge as CEO of the company for the next 15 years. So from my early 20s up into my late 30s, that's what I did. I was running that company until the point we eventually sold the company, and I had to negotiate myself into unemployment. I had to basically sell that company. And then I knew I was going to be looking for something new. I was a little burnt out. I loved that, working with those clients that we had. We worked with a lot of elderly children with special needs. It was a great community to be involved in, but I was a little bit tired. I wanted to do something different. Real estate was one of the things that was kind of an interest that I had never really pursued it. And basically said, you know what, I'm gonna go get my license. I'm gonna get my real estate license. Thankfully, my wife was incredibly supportive because she knows what it takes to build a business. She'd seen us do it previously, and she knows that initially that often means no income when you're first starting. You have to build up that business from scratch. She was incredibly supportive and kept us afloat while we were doing that. So at that point, I moved to the Triangle area, affiliated with a company here that was fantastic. I got a lot of great training there, made a lot of really good contacts, and that helped me shape my business and how I run my business. In the past year, I made a change. I'm now affiliated with a different firm, started a real estate team. That's building right now. That's growing into something that I'm really proud of. The people that I'm working with, I love working with them. And looking at actual expansion now into other states and global markets as well, which is completely different, but something I'm very excited about. And that's where a lot of my focus has been over the last year or so.
You know, I love this, Darien. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got from that last segment. He spoke about, working as a business owner at a young age, 12, 13, striping parking lots. He then talked about how he moved into different fields, marketing, sales, hotel. He then went to work with his mom in a business she was in. Then that business owner decided to move away, made him the CEO. He stayed in that role from his early 20s to his mid to late 30s. And then he decided to make a move once the company sold. And now he's in real estate. Was at with one firm and then took his experience, wisdom from that firm. Now he's at another firm and he's leading people now. And he's in a role of leadership. And I love this. So first question, okay, Darren? I have a great quote on leadership. I'm going to tell you the quote, who it's from, and I want you to tell me what are your thoughts on the quote and how it applies to you and your business, okay? The quote is, leadership is the art of getting people to do what you want done because they want to do it. General Dwight D. Eisenhower. How do you feel about that quote, and how does it play into the work you do leading people and leading people on your awesome team for your awesome company?
Great. You know what? It is. I've heard that quote before. It's a really interesting quote. I might have a different perspective on it a bit, but I definitely agree with it in the sense you do want people to do or to work towards a common goal. And ideally, you have that common goal in the sense of having them do what you want them to do and making them want to do it. There's a couple ways to do that. You can do that through persuasion. You can do that through convincing. You can do it through authoritarian power. That's not the way that I choose to do it, but all of those ways can affect it to where you convince people that they want to have this thing done. In my case, I prefer to surround myself with like-minded individuals as much as possible who have similar goals already. Then we can go in and fine-tune those goals, make sure we're all on the same page. We know at the end of the day what it is that we're working towards. And if everyone sees that there's effort being put in to work towards it together, then the wanting to is actually much easier to achieve. So that's how I choose to kind of build my team. I first select people that I feel, have the same principles, have the same priorities, and I know that we can work together. And then I can come in with coaching, with training, and we can help shape that into its final form.
So basically, the type of leadership that you love to bring to the table, and I love this, is servant leadership with the foundation of leadership that is built off of alignment around a unified vision. You want to work with those that you know are aligned to what you're trying to do and what they want to do as a team and a team effort. Am I saying that correct?
Correct. That's exactly it. And now with one of the projects that I've been working on for the past year is a coaching app. I had done some coaching previously in real estate, working with other agents. I do have a passion for that. I enjoy working with others. One-on-one coaching was quite time-consuming, a little bit demanding. But with the app that I'm developing now, it's specifically geared towards international agents, which is a little bit different. And when you talk about alignment, I found it to be incredibly important because as I started learning more about, for example, how state agency is handled in the UK, or in Spain or other parts of Europe versus in the US, it's very different in terms of how things are marketed, what the practices are. So for me, although we are working with different rules, different guidelines, different practices, we can find those commonalities in the areas where we're all on the same page and develop a higher level of standard and service and understanding. So when we're doing these cross-border referrals, we can help prepare our clients. Hey, look, this is what you should expect when you go there. These are professionals, they're going to handle it, but now they're more prepared. You've built trust with your client. That relationship stays intact. So you're not just passing, the hot potato. You're going to send them over there prepared. So this is kind of something that I've really been concentrating on. And yeah, like you mentioned, alignment is massive for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love this because what Darien's talking about is scaling in your business. If you're a coach, and again, Darien, I'm doing the exact same thing, except the app we're building, the coaching app we're building is around mindset, leadership, marketing and sales, how to start and successfully sustain a podcast, culture enhancement. We're not going into what you're doing, which I think is amazing with international realtors. And again, right, there's a need and you're filling it, and I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard Darien said it best. He loves coaching, but it's time consuming one-on-one. And again, what does Warren Buffett say? No matter how much money he makes, he can't buy time. He can't buy time. Nobody can buy time, right? So if you want to scale in your business, you have to find ways to create something where you don't have to be there. You aren't trading time for money. So that's gonna be my next question. But again, ladies and gentlemen, what Darien is talking about is exactly what we're also doing. And if you're in business, and that's the question, right, Darien? Speaking to people that are entrepreneurs, have that itch, have that bug to do it. They've been doing it for a while and they have a brand that has a reputation. But again, they're trading time for money the same way I was. I mean, this is called Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. So Marques Ogden is going to be even more authentic. Like, that's exactly what we were doing. And I was struggling with that. Like, we've had a great 3 years of business. It's been well, but it's been hard to scale because I'm doing so much one-on-one coaching. I'm trading time for money. I have a business partner now, Nathan, and we're creating an app. And the app will be a coaching app with ways of like paywall to get into different courses and programs and be able to go higher level, have videos to me come to you daily, like, all these things. Like, we're truly changing the game. But again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in business and you're trying to scale, you have to find a way to stop trading your time for your money. So my question is, right, Darren, speaking to the entrepreneurs out there that have the itch to grow and scale, how would you teach them, or what would you tell them to do in order, how like you created the app, which is exactly what we're doing? May not fit everybody, but we both have the same type of alignment. What would be your wisdom to share with our global audience on how to help them that want to scale do what's necessary to scale?
Sure. There's the concept of the 80-20 rule. That's important. And also look at your weekly calendar. Really be conscientious and focused about your time blocking, and see where am I spending my time. At the end of a week, go back and look at that. How many of those activities actually either made you money or brought you happiness? You choose where your priorities are. If your priorities are, I need to spend more time with my family, then you schedule that first. You don't have to sacrifice what's important to you in order to find success, because you determine what success is to you. So for me, I work to sustain my life. It's not a substitute for my life. It's not the main focus of my life, but it does facilitate what I want to do with my life. So knowing that, I prioritize what's important to me, and then I build my schedule around that for work. And then I say, okay, you know what? This activity took X amount of time, but the return on that investment wasn't worth it. Can I find someone else to do that activity for me? Or can I find a way to do that more efficiently so that most of my time is spent on the areas that bring me the most return? It's just like any good investment. Your time is the most important investment you can make. And it's just like any other. You want a good ROI. So when you're looking at that, analyze that, and then focus on the things that are bringing you results. And whatever you can streamline, and it's worth it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that last sentence was gold. Whatever you can streamline, streamline. Again, this is why I decided to partner with Nathan, right, Darren? Because I don't have the experience to build an app. If you asked me to build an app, or my life was going to be gone if I couldn't do it, just go ahead and kill me now. Because there's absolutely no way I could ever do that. And this is where it comes down to leadership, right? And understanding what type of leadership you have, or you might have both. And again, if you're trying to scale, I feel you need to be able to have someone to partner with, or bring people into your organization that can fill the gap. So before we get to that leadership point, we'll end with that, Darien. Talk to us, because I'm in Raleigh-Durham as well as you are. You're in Apex, am I correct?
My office is in Apex.
Apex, North Carolina. Where do you reside? Where do you live personally?
I'm in the Holly Springs Fuquay area. That's
Perfect.
right.
I live in Fuquay. Boom.
Oh, great. Fuquay. We're close.
Yeah. I live right on. I live in Fuquay on Piney Wilbon, right by the Andrew line, right in the back. Matter of fact, I'm in Serenity.
I know where you're at.
I'm in Serenity.
I was just there the other day.
Yep, I'm in Serenity. I was one of the first 5, Darien, to actually buy here. I moved in here in May of 2023. I was one of the first 5 to have a home here. So the equity here for us is amazing. We're really happy. But the question is, right, Darien, when it comes to you and your real estate business and real estate team, right, please shed some light to the global audience. What is the why factor to why people want to do business with you and your team? Because I tell people, when people like you and your why aligns to their why, magic happens. So, and you're very good at sales as well. And I love that, because sales is all about the transfer of energy. And I'm taking my energy, my excitement, and I'm transferring it onto the potential buyer. When they feel it and there's alignment, the sale happens. But again, Darien, what is the why to why clients and or prospective clients should want to work with you and or your realtor team?
Yeah. I really feel what sets us apart is the balance of having professional knowledge, a desire to keep learning. We're constantly refining our knowledge. So that's important. You want that. But on the other side of things is that human element and human connection, and the fact that we genuinely care about what it is that we're building and the clients that we're working with. So being able to provide that authenticity, that integrity on one hand, but not sacrificing the actual knowledge and field experience on the other is a unique combination that we're able to provide to our clients. And because we've worked so hard to develop our network of partners, vendors, international contacts, when a question comes up that we haven't seen before, we're not here to tell you that we know everything, but we can find the answer. And having the humility to let them know, hey, look, I'm not the expert on everything, but I can find out who is, and we can get that answer for you. That can really put them at ease and give them a sense of calm and have them work with us with confidence because they know that we're here to deliver.
You know what, man? Great answer, Darien. And again, ladies and gentlemen, a couple things I took away. Leadership doesn't mean you know and or have all the right answers, right? I took that away. I took away collaboration is part of the why to why you should want to work with Darien, which is awesome. But I also took away when it comes to in business, and I love what Darien said, it's about being calm. Calm is contagious. When you're calm, especially under pressure, your clients and prospective clients can see that, and it makes them calm. It keeps them calm under pressure. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are some key elements, right? Collaboration, leadership that understands how they don't know all the answers, and being someone that's calm under pressure. Darien, my last question, you talk a lot about leadership, right? And I believe this is an aspirational and or inspirational leader, okay? So an aspirational leader, they do things like create the vision, model discipline, live the standard, okay? That's aspirational. Inspirational leaders bring the vision to life. They create belief and they get the team fired up and ready to go. So when it comes to aspirational leadership, right, Darien, what do you feel is your strongest trait when it comes to aspirational leadership?
I've definitely always been a big picture guy. So I am able to sort of sit back generally and look at the scene and decide how to shape our strategy. That's something I enjoy doing. So as far as the aspirational side, I can usually find goals that we can work towards, to reach what we're looking for. And I think being able to do that is really important in leadership. Your team needs to know that they have someone that's not afraid of the unknown, not afraid of coming across a new challenge. We may not have all the answers fine tuned yet, but you know that there's going to be direction. And that's something I pride myself on.
And then what's one trait you find strongest when it comes to being an inspirational leader, right? Bringing visions to reality or to life? Is it creating belief in others, or is it firing the team up and getting ready to go?
For me, it does go back to your theme of authenticity, right? If I believe in what I'm doing, it's a lot easier to convince others to believe in it. So when I feel that, this is the right path forward and I'm 100% committed and I've thought it through, then it's a lot easier for me to get everyone else on board because they see my passion for it. They see my drive for it. They know what we're working towards, and they're ready to go along for the ride and help chip in. And so I've been really fortunate with the people that I've surrounded myself with that they have that same mentality, and we've been able to pull those results together.
Darien, fantastic interview, great insight. How can our global audience get in touch with you?
Sure. They can see me at thecruzgroup.net or dariencruz.com. Those are probably the easiest ways to contact me directly. Feel free to reach out. Also, through all social media, Darien Cruz Real Estate. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. A lot of people recently have been reaching out to me through there. But absolutely, keep in contact. I have regular articles that are published, regarding the market that we live in and global markets as well.
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, connect with Darien, follow him, get guidance, get advice, get input. He's a great guy that understands how to stay ahead and be a trendsetter and be a disruptor. And that's awesome. The authentic tip of this great interview. In life, it's all about understanding you need to put others first and be a leader that serves the people in your charge. The way Darien does it, and he highlighted that. And I love that because to me, that is the true sign of a true, authentic leader. Again, my name is Marques Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marques show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.